the day that all the world will see who Prophet Muhammad is. All the world will see. Back in the time of Prophet Muhammad, 1400 years ago, he started out by himself. And when he started out by himself, his first convert was his wife, and then his friend. And then it was just a small group. And they took a stand. First, Prophet Muhammad took a stand that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. His wife took that same stand. His companions and friends, they took that same stand. And then they were oppressed, they were went through all types of trials. And then when Allah told them to, they moved from Mecca, they went to Medina, and they found a people that loved them and wanted them. They found a place that was where people had trusted him, knew him and trusted him, and accepted his leadership. And then from Medina, he still was being oppressed by the Meccans. They wouldn't leave him alone. And then through agreements and through battles and so forth, eventually the community became stronger and stronger. And at a certain point in time, I think they said he had about 10,000 strong. And when they marched toward Mecca, the Meccans, they saw all those 10,000 strong around them. They had to give up without fighting. It was apparent that it was all over. Al-Islam was apparent to the whole eyes of the Arabian Peninsula. And then from there, it moved on out into the world that Al-Islam was apparent. Allahu Akbar. Then we reflect back that Prophet Muhammad in Medina, he built his first masjid. They built it with their hand. And the Prophet, he helped them build it. And then from that masjid, we see now that on that spot, they have a bigger masjid over there in Medina now. I heard, when I made Hajj, I heard a person say, you know, it says the Meccans, after the Prophet passed, their spirit is almost the same as it was before. He said, when you go to Medina, he said, you see that the people was warm. And you know, when I made Hajj, Mecca was different. It was hard. It was different. And but when you went to Medina, it was a warmer place. And from that masjid, that little masjid that they built, that the Prophet prayed in, that the Prophet sent messages out to the whole world, that the Prophet addressed the whole world from that little masjid, they built a bigger masjid. Allahu Akbar. So being people establish your justice and witnesses for God. So Allah is God. Allah is the truth and the reality. And as I said before, it is a blessing to know the reality of God. Because Allah is Akbar. That means God is bigger than anything that you can conceive of. You cannot grasp God in your little small vision in your hand. You cannot grasp God. He's too big for you. And even though the human being has a big grasp, they'll grab on something, and eventually once they get control of it, they become the master of it, and they rule it. But still, they cannot grasp God. They cannot rule God. They are under the rule of Almighty God. So when they realize that God is not a man, that God is not a woman, that God is not a tree, not a rock, not the sun, not the water, not the wind, that God is the creator of everything. In the Holy Quran, the people are commanded to let you know who is your Lord. Allah says, tell the people that your Lord is the creator of everything. Allahu Akbar. And then if you read the Quran, look at the miracle of the Quran. There's some things in there that you know that there are. The Quran was the tool that sparked the Renaissance. That brought the Western world and the rest of the world out of the darkness into the light. They picked up a little bit of the Quran and they kept on running. And you see now that we got these airplanes and spaceships and all these cars. We all, you know, you think about it in the Old West. Back in the Old West, every now and then somebody had a horse, right? Every now and then somebody had a horse. But now everybody got a car, and I think what is it, 300 horsepower or something like that there? All of us got cars, man. You know, that is a miracle. Allahu Akbar. So we are in a blessed day and time to know the reality of God. Because we are surrounded by so many confusion things. Satan was big back in the time of Prophet Muhammad. And the Quran was revealed through Prophet Muhammad to address everything that Satan would do. But Satan was small in that day and time. But Satan is giant in this day and time. And you know what? The Quran can slay Satan just as well as it did 1400 years ago in this day and time. Allah. So the Quran was revealed through Prophet Muhammad. And we thank Allah for being blessed with one from among us, Imam W.D. Muhammad. Imam W.D. Muhammad. We who came out of the nation of Islam, it was burned into our mind that the dead had to raise up. And that the mentally dead, the mentally blind, deaf, and dumb. And the whole world, as long as Satan is around, is going to make everybody, or continue to make everybody dead. Why? Because he wants the reality of God to die within you and let Satan come alive within you. And then now you're mentally dead. And when Imam Muhammad came in 1975, the whole world was controlled by Satan. The whole world. Satan had put his hands on every. He touched Mecca. He touched Africa. He touched China. He touched Europe. He touched America. Satan controlled the whole world. Allahu Akbar. And Imam W. Muhammad in 1975, he came in and he gave us the clear understanding of Al-Islam, the clear understanding of who Allah is, the clear understanding of who Prophet Muhammad is, the clear understanding of what a Muslim is, and he got us back to our original nature. Imam W. Muhammad did that. Allahu Akbar. So we cannot forget that. This is the Mosque Care sponsored First Sunday. Sponsored by the ministry of Imam W. Muhammad. So what's coming from this office is the light that was Imam W. Muhammad gave us, that is a reflection of what came from the Quran. Allahu Akbar. So Imam Muhammad, he says that we have to understand that Al-Islam is a focus on universal. A focus on universal. Things that are universal. You know, water is universal. The earth is universal. The sun is universal, right? I mean, the fire over in China is the same. The fire over here is the same. The water over in Russia is the same. Al-Islam focuses on universal. And so there are certain things that we have in the environment that might be a reality, but it's only a reality just in that particular environment. Once it leaves out of that environment, it becomes something totally, something else. It changes the environment, it becomes a whole different reality. For example, if you're in the country of China, you speak Chinese. That works well for you. But if you come over in America, you're in a whole different reality. Right? That's right. And you start speaking Chinese and people don't know who you are, they start laughing at you. They think it's nothing but foolishness, a word like that. They want to know when you're going to learn English. Okay? Whether it's Arabic or anything like that. So, we have to understand that Al-Islam focuses on universal. And Farad Muhammad, when he came in 1930, he said that Al-Islam is mathematics, and that mathematics is Al-Islam. You cannot be wrong in mathematics. I mean, if you say 2 plus 2 is 5, that's wrong, right? But that's not mathematics. You have to say 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's correct. And then when you look at mathematics, mathematics is a symbolic language. Symbolic language. So if I say 2 plus 2, what is it referring to? If I say 2 apples plus 2 apples equal 4 apples, then you see the reality of it. So likewise, then mathematics is a symbolic